Hello and welcome to the special emergency convening of the Stitch and Bee on a Wednesday night, because I am livid, and by the looks of it, some of you are too. So welcome, Godless, for joining us in tonight's angering debauchery. My plan of action is we are going to read this shenanigans of a depressing piece of crap that we all need to do something about, and then we can complain about it. So, tea, coffee, water, whatever happens to be in your cup, you're going to need a big one. So let's get into it. I'm not going to sew because I can't read this. So I might be late onto the chat because I just want to get through the reading of this horrible thing as quickly.
No one's jumped in yet.
Okay, so let's chat. Let's wait for like 5 more minutes because Liz said she's going to be here. How's everybody's Wednesday?
You know what? It takes us. The notifications take a second, and people get taken off guard. Like sometimes I'll catch something 15 minutes in. There's actually someone I recently subscribed to. They stream all the time, and I catch it when they're like, anywhere from like 6 minutes in to 45 minutes,
Yeah. All right. So we can definitely wait a few minutes while I gently try to trim these edges, because I ripped out the front panel of my corset, this new blue one, the mushroom end, because I tried it. So I put it up, and I don't think I've got giant tracts of land, but I don't think I need that extra bust gusset in there. So I had something. I took out the stitch ripper and tucked my projects into my own hands as I was angry. I'm like,
I have, what's really funny? I have angry habits. Like I'll pull out my patch box and organize it because it's like weirdly soothing, Like
I know. Oh, I should have grabbed the button box. I do need to pick out buttons for those new blue trousers. I am so in love with them.
It's funny that you'd say that, okay? I kind of have a beef with whatever Chinese manufacturer mass produces white buttons. First off, I buy like odd bits and bobs and buttons, okay? And pretty much they've been consistent.
Yeah.
And recently, when I purchased a thing from Michael's the other day, it was the exact same thing, the exact same package, but the buttons were off. And so it's just frustrating. And then I'm going through, like, some of the buttons had brand names on them I had never heard of. I Googled one of the brands, and their coats were starting at $4,000. But their buttons somewhere.
You got dead stock buttons?
Yeah. I thought it was the strangest thing. And I purchased this at Michael's,
That is odd. Yeah, I haven't had to buy buttons in a while. Because I have been stalwartedly and terrified to try to sew with my buttonholer on my Kenmore. So I would rather put in a zip or hand sew in hooks and eyes or hooks and bars than put in buttons.
I've been sewing most of my life, and I refuse to use my buttonholer. My Singer buttonholer from my 301A, I use it as a museum piece. It literally sits in this room because it's Art Deco.
Right, I love that machine age Art Deco goodness.
Because I wouldn't even know where to begin, and I've watched tutorials. It looks so complicated.
I know. Or is that like the one where you like set the button in the back end of it, and then somehow it knows how much to stitch and just like does its stuff, and you're just like, don't break a needle or don't blow up. Oh yes.
This thing, it scares me. This thing legitimately scares me.
I've seen people use that one, so that one seems less scary. I don't know.
I watch videos, and I'm like, okay, you know what's funny? This is the one piece of equipment in this room that I haven't jumped at. Everything else, I'm like sitting there with watching the tutorial with the equipment in my hand, like doing it. And this, I'm like, no, I
Right?
don't want to break my machine.
I'm scared.
It looks really cool though.
It does look like a beautiful piece of machinery.
It's like a giant you know what? It's just a really cool paperweight.
No, it's your new pattern weight.
Yeah. I have become so inventive. I use the bottom of my perm machine. I don't even know what it's called. It's the standard 1970s like home perm
Oh,
dryer
yes.
thing.
Yup.
I use that for my big hats now, which I've started, so the other day I had a sewing machine midlife crisis.
Okay.
And
What new
then
fancy toy did you want?
well, I realized that I'm godless sewing, and I had that Shazam moment where I went from a child to a grown man.
Yep.
And I've been making hats with my Bel Air, and it's a beast. It's like I got it from my grandmother's house, and I've done like
Oh, yep.
some research on it, but it's like kind of like 1970s, 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
But because it sat in her closet and she rarely used it, it's like a brand new machine.
She still got that new machine smell.
It's a beast because most clone Japanese sewing machines I've come across are like extremely used.
Yeah, because they worked so good.
Exactly. Exactly. And this thing, I just forget that I have all these reliable machines in this garage.
You have too many toys to play with in the toy box.
Do you know people like I can see, as someone who used to be a minimalist, I can see why that's useful because I spend 45 minutes picking out what sweatshirt I'm going to wear underneath my vest. And I own quite a few sweatshirts.
Right. This is not a shorter than 10-minute thoughtful affair.
I banished mirrors from this room and I brought them back. So now I'm on this really weird quest of like because I used to have a mirror like directly across from where I live streamed, but then it got distracting because I'd end up critiquing and looking at myself too much.
Shit. Hold on. I need you to hold down the fort. I'll be
No
back as soon
worries.
as I can.
No worries. I gotta plug in my phone. Gotta go check on Sewing Junior, poor guy. Now I just have rah Rasputin stuck in my head. Rah Rasputin. So on tonight's impromptu stream, I'm not thinking about it. I'm gonna make another Fisher floppy blossom hat. And the patch isn't final. I may or may not change the patch, but I have fallen in love with this style of hat. I've absolutely fallen in love with it. The patch may or may not stay. Sewing Junior's decent. He's doing decent, Liz. No, I just have rah Rasputin stuck in my head now. Same. Oh, how's your night going, Liz? What do you what's going on? Are you going to work tonight? As I try to figure out what I'm typing. It is Wednesday, and our rights are slowly being taken away. And everybody's at work not realizing what's happening. Oh, I'm trying to think what else happened. I went to the ranch today, and I did a lot of filming for my video. I can't wait until So Frugal 2023. It's not for any other fact that I've participated in this, and I am stoked. I am stoked. I made my twin jackets, the standard LA red and blue. I can't wait to show them off, which reminds me, I need to take pictures for them before I forget. Decent, all as you can ask for. Just a teenager, I guess. No work tonight. I'm finishing the jury. Oh, I forgot about that, Liz. Yes, I've had jury duty many a times. Okay, so let's be real. Yes, I did skate today, Liz. I did. I am very much so a skater. I did skate. uh so I am not one to give advice. I am not somebody who you should be taking advice from. But if you happen to find yourself in the grips of jury duty, I've found coughing on yourself helps. If you smoke cigarettes, come in there just reeking of cigarettes. They won't pick you. If you say you don't like people, say, hey, I don't like people. They will not pick you.
I don't like people. Sorry.
No, Liz and I had Liz had jury duty, and I was telling her that she needs to say that she's racist.
Right. Oh, I think that's, you could say other things up there that would get you kicked off sooner, but that might be a little too soon to make a funny joke right now, but we could talk about that too. Sorry, thanks for waiting for me and holding down the fort. I had
no worries.
The day job that is 24 hours needed me.
Understandable. I have one of those.
Right.
I've decided.
Right,
go ahead. Oh no, I'm just showing off my goofy. I'm fixing all my old mistake hats, and I'm just turning them into the LL Cool J hats.
Perfect. I think that sounds good. Looks like I think we should call this a quorum, and let me.
All right.
To soothe my nerves while we get into this shenanigans.
I'm gonna mute myself.
All right. So this is Senate Bill 686, also known as the Restrict Act. And what does it do? It restricts a lot. All right. There's the blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Oh, this is fun. Everybody who is behind this, Mr. Warner, Mr. Dune, Ms. Baldwin, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Manchin, Mr. Moran, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Sullivan, oh, that's a V, not a Z, Mrs. Gilbert, Ms. Collins, Ms. Henrik, Mr. Romney, yep, that is the Mitt Romney, and Mrs. Capito. So if we can see on the first glance of, I had to look it up, but this is an equal mix of Republicans and Democrats. So this should be the first sign that this is no bueno. A bill to authorize the Secretary of Commerce to review and prohibit certain transactions between persons in the United States and foreign adversaries and for other purposes. What other purposes? Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1. This act may be cited as the Restricting the Emergence of Security Threats That Risk Information and Communications Technology Act, or the Restrict Act. Section 2. Definitions. In this act, classified national security information. The term classified national security information means information that has been determined pursuant to Executive Order 13526, 50 U.S.C. 316, note relating to the classified national security information or any predecessor or successor order to require protection against unauthorized disclosure and is marked to indicate such classified status if in documentary form. 2. Controlling holding. The term controlling holding means a holding with the power, whether direct or indirect, and whether exercised or not exercised, to determine direct or decide important matters affecting an entity. 3. Covered holding. The term covered holding, A, means regardless of how or when such holding was or will be obtained or otherwise come to have been held, a controlling holding held directly or indirectly in an ICTS covered, you're in my way, holding entity by A, 1, a foreign sovereignty, 2, an entity subject to the jurisdiction of or organized under the laws of a foreign adversary, or 3, an entity owned, directed, or controlled by an entity described in subparagraphs 1 or 2, and B, include any other holdings the structure of which is designed or intended to evade or circumvent the application of this act, subject to regulations prescribed by the Secretary. 4. Covered transactions. A. In general, the term covered transaction means a transaction in which an entity in subparagraph B has any interest, including through an interest in a contract for the provision of the technology or service or any class of such transaction. B. Covered entities. The entities described in this paragraph are 1. A foreign adversary, 2. An entity subject to the jurisdiction of or organized under the laws of a foreign adversary, and 3, an entity owned, directed, or controlled by a person described in subparagraph A or B. C. Non-evasion. The term covered transaction includes any other transaction the structure of which is designed or intended to evade or circumvent the application of this act, subject to regulations prescribed by the Secretary. D. Timing. The term covered transaction includes current, past, or potential future transaction. 5. Critical infrastructure. The term critical infrastructure has the meaning given the term in section 1016 of the U.S. Patriot Act, 42 USC 519 c parentheses E. Entity. The term entity means any of the following, whether established in the United States or outside of the United States. A firm. B, a government agency, government department, or government commission. C, a labor union. D, a fraternal or social organization. E, a partnership. F, a trust. G, a joint venture. H, a corporation. I, a group, subgroup, or other association or organization, whether or not organized for profit. So everybody. 7. Executive department and agency. The term executive department and agency has the meaning given in the term executive agency in section 105 of Title V United States Code. 8. Foreign adversary. The term foreign adversary, A, means any foreign government or regime determined by the Secretary pursuant to sections 3 and 5 to have engaged in a long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to the national security of the United States or the security and safety of the persons, and B, includes, unless removed by the Secretary pursuant to Section 6, 1. The People's Republic of China, including the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region and Macau Special Administrative Region. 2. The Republic of Cuba. 3. The Islamic Republic of Iran. 4. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea. 5. The Russian Federation. 6. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela under the regime of Nicolas Maduro Moros. Okay, big number 9. Holding. The term holding, A, means an equity interest, a stock, a security, a share, a partnership interest, an interest in limited liability company, a membership interest, or any participation right or other equivalent, however designated and of any character, and includes without limitation any security convertible into an ownership interest, right, warrant, or option to acquire ownership interests. 10. ICTS covered holding entity. The term ICTS covered holding entity means any entity that A. owns, controls, or manages information and communication technology products or services, and B. 1. is not less than 1 million United States-based annual active users at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered holding is referred to the present, or 2, for which more than 1 million units have been sold to persons in the United States before the date on which the covered holding is referred to the present. 2. Information and communications technology products or services. The term information and communications technology products or services means any hardware, software, or other product or service primarily intended to fulfill or enable the function of information or data processing, storage, retrieval, or communication by electronic means, transmission, storage, and display. 12. Mitigation measure. The term mitigation measure means a measure agreed to in an agreement between any relevant party and the federal government, or ordered by the federal government, and of which any relevant party has been notified, in any matter addressed under this act, to address any risk arising from a covered transaction or associated with a covered holding. 13. Person. The term person means a natural person, including a citizen or national of the United States or of any foreign country. 14. Relevant executive department and agency heads. The term relative executive department and agency head means A. the Secretary of Treasury, B. the Secretary of State, C. the Secretary of Defense, D. the Attorney General, E. the Secretary of Homeland Security, F. the United States Trade Representative, G. the Director of National Intelligence, H. the Administrator of General Services, I. the Chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, and J. the heads of other executive departments and agencies as appropriate. 15. Relevant committees of Congress. The term relative committees of Congress means the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, the Committee on the Judiciary, the Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs, the Committee on Foreign Relations, the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, the Committee on Armed Services, the Committee on Rules and Administration, and the Select Committee on Intelligence, and the Committee on Energy and Commerce, the Committee on the Judiciary, the Committee on Homeland Security, the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, the Committee on Foreign Affairs, the Committee on Armed Services, the Committee on House Administration, and Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House of Representatives. 16. Secretary. The term secretary means the Secretary of Commerce. 17. Transaction. The term transaction means any acquisition, important transfer, installation, dealing in, or use of any information and communications technology, product, or service, including ongoing activities such as managed services, data transmissions, software updates, repairs, or the provision of data hosting or a class of such transactions. Section 3. Addressing information and communication technology products and services that pose undue or unacceptable risk. A. In general, the Secretary, in consultation with relevant executive department and agency heads, is authorized to and shall take to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiating, entering into, or imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines. 1. Poses an undue acceptable risk of a sabotage or subversion of the design, integrity, manufacturing, production, distribution, installation, operation, or maintenance of information and communications technology products and services in the United States. B. Catastrophic effects on the security or resilience of the critical infrastructure or digital economy of the United States. C. Interfering in or altering the result or reported result of a federal collection as determined in coordination with the Attorney General of the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of Treasury, and the Federal Election Commission. Or D. Coercive or criminal activities by a foreign adversary that are designed to undermine democratic processes and institutions or steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of the strategic objectives of a foreign adversary to the detriment of the national security of the United States, as determined in coordination with the Attorney General, the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary of Treasury, and the Federal Election Commission, or otherwise pose an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or of the safety of United States persons. Procedure. In general, not later than 180 days after the date of the enactment of this act, the Secretary, in consultation with relevant executive department and agency heads, shall review any transaction described in subsection A to determine not later than 180 days after the date on which the Secretary initiates such review, if such transaction poses an undue or an unacceptable risk under subsection A2 and qualifies as a covered transaction, and with respect to a transaction found to pose an undue unacceptable risk and qualify as a covered transaction, determine whether the covered transaction should be prohibited or any other actions should be taken to mitigate the effects of the covered transaction. Published explanations, if practicable and consistent with the national security and law enforcement interests of the United States, in coordination and in cooperation with the Director of National Intelligence, the Secretary shall publish information in a declassified form to explain how a covered transaction with the Secretary that the Secretary denied or otherwise mitigated under paragraph 1 meets the criteria and established under subsection A or subsection 4A. Certain administrative procedure requirements inapplicable. Section 553 of Title V, United States Code shall not apply to any regulation promulgated pursuant to paragraph 1. Section 4, addressing information and communications technology products and service holdings that pose undue or unacceptable risk. In general, the Secretary shall identify and refer to the President any covered holding that the Secretary determines in consultation with the relevant executive department and agency heads poses an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the Secretary and the safety of the United States person. B. Procedure, review and referral. The Secretary shall, by regulation, establish procedures by which the Secretary, in consultation with the relevant executive department and agency heads, shall conduct the holdings to determine if such holdings constitute covered holdings that pose an undue unacceptable risk, and under subsection A and B, refer to the President covered holdings that are determined under the subsection A to pose an undue or unacceptable risk. Oh my God, there's the bads. This is, sorry, thanks for hanging in with me, folks. We'll be through this shortly. Oh, I can highlight it. Referrals to a go ahead.
Oh, I'm taking notes. I have like 4 or 5. But, I'm glad that everyone's here to witness the death of democracy. And to quote Queen Amidala, it's by a round of applause.
Yeah, no, couldn't let democracy dies in the dark, and some of this we're getting through the mumbly jumbly of this, but
Yeah.
it was my civic duty to share. So thanks for everybody who's showing up to listen to this chicanery
This is
and watch me
scary.
want to cry.
This is scary.
Yep. Yeah, from the beginning, it's so amorphous and applies to everybody and everything. All right. Referrals prior to establishment of regulation. At any time preceding the issuance of regulation or establishment of procedures under subparagraph 1, the Secretary may identify and refer to the President a holding determined to be a covered holding under subsection A for action by the President pursuant to subsection C. If the Secretary, in the sole and unreviewable discretion of the Secretary, determines that such referral would be in a interest of national security. Administrative procedure requirements inapplicable. Subchapter 2 of Chapter 5 and Chapter 7 of Title 5 United States Code, commonly known as the Administrative Procedure Act, shall not apply to any referral by the Secretary to the President of a covered holding. Action by the President, in general, subject to Section 13 with respect to any covered holding referred to the President under subsection A, if the President determines that a covered holding poses an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the security and safety of the United States person, the President may take such action as the President considers appropriate to compel divestment of or otherwise mitigate the risk associated with such covered holding to the full extent and covered holding is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States with respect to the United States operations, assets, or property of the entity in which the covered holding is held, or any products or services owned, controlled, designed, developed, manufactured, or supplied by the entity and are used in the United States. Any tangible or intangible assets, wherever located, are used to support or enable use of the product or software of the entity of the United States, and any data obtained or derived from the use of the product or software of the entity in the United States. Non-delegable authority. The authority to compel divestment of a covered holding under paragraph 1 may only be exercised by the President and may not be delegated to any other individual except as described in paragraph 4. Announcement. If the President determines that action is required pursuant to paragraph 1, the President shall announce the decision not later than 30 days after the date on which the Secretary refers the covered holding to the President pursuant to Section 1A. Enforcement of divestment. The President may direct the Attorney General to seek appropriate relief, including divestment relief, in the District Courts of the United States in order to implement and enforce this subsection. Section 5. Considerations. Priority information and communications technology areas. In carrying out Sections 3 and 4, the Secretary shall prioritize evaluation of 1. Information and communications technology products or services used by a party to a covered transaction in a sector designated as critical infrastructure in Policy 2, Directive 21, February 12, 2013, relating to critical infrastructure and security resilience. 2. Software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to telecommunications products and services, including wireless area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platforms. Any software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to data hosting or computing services that uses, processes, or retains, or is expected to use, process, or retain sensitive personal data with respect to greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the data on which the covered transaction is referred to the security for review, or the security initiates review of the covered transactions and holdings, including internet hosting, cloud-based distributing and data storage, machine learning, predictive analytics, data science products and services, including those involving the provision of services to assist a party utilize, manage, or maintain open source software, managed services, content delivery systems, internet or network-enabled sensors, webcams, endpoint surveillance or monitoring devices, modems, and home networking devices of greater than 1 million units have been sold to persons in the United States at any point during the year period preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transaction. Unmanned vehicles, including drones and other aerial systems, autonomous or semi-autonomous vehicles, or any other product or service integral to the provision, maintenance, or management of such products or services. Software designed or used primarily for the connecting with and communicating via internet that is in use by greater than 1 million persons in the United States or at any point during the last year preceding the date on which the covered transaction is referred to the Secretary for review, or the Secretary initiates review of the covered transactions, including desktop, mobile, gaming applications, payment applications, web-based applications, information and communication technology products integral to artificial and machine learning, quantum distributions, quantum communications, quantum computing, post-quantum cryptography, autonomous system, advanced robotics, biotechnology, synthetic biology, computational biology, and e-commerce technology and services, including any electronic techniques for accomplishing business transactions, online retail, internet-cabled logistics, internet-enabled payment technology, and online marketplaces.
Really quickly, sorry,
Yeah.
Phoenix, really quickly. I'm just your friendly neighborhood stoner, but does that mean I will no longer be able to get an iPhone?
No, I
Because
think you're able to buy these things. It's that the back-end data that Apple uses, because the parts are made in China, they can look at whatever. They can say, like, hey, China, you are in this relationship with us. We want all of XYZ people's data, and they don't need to inform the cops, I think is what that means. But I'm not a lawyer. That I'm just...
Yikes.
This is my
Sorry.
public service, because I know this is a little boring and dry, but...
No, I'm listening, but it's sending me down a very scary rabbit hole in my head.
As it should, which is why I'm like, I keep seeing videos of all the highlights, and I was like, as boring as this might be, I think to just read through the whole thing was
Almost
going to be an
everything.
exercise in terror.
Almost anything. Well, like I have a bunch of Nikon cameras. Like, what don't I own that wasn't made in China? Like, we should start with that
Right?
list, you know? Yikes.
Yep. Considerations relating to undue and unacceptable risk in determining whether a covered transaction poses an undue or unacceptable risk under Section 3A or 4A, the Secretary shall, as the Secretary determines appropriate and in consultation with appropriate agency heads, consider where available any removal or exclusion order issued by the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Secretary of Defense, or the Director of the National Intelligence pursuant to recommendations of the Federal Acquisition Security Council pursuant to Section 1323 of Title 41 U.S. Code. Any order or license revocation issued by the Federal Communications Commission with respect to a transacting party, or consent decree imposed by the Federal Trade Commission with respect to a transacting party. Any relevant provisions of the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation and the Federal Acquisition Regulation, I don't know why they said that twice, the respective supplements for those regulations. Any actual or potential threats to the execution of a national critical infrastructure identified by the Director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the nature, degree, or likelihood of consequence to the public and private sectors of the United States that would occur if vulnerabilities of the information and communication technology services supply chain were to be exploited, and any other source of information that the Secretary determines appropriate, and may consider, where available, any relevant threat assessment or report prepared by the Director of National Intelligence, completed or conducted at the request of the Secretary. All right, we're almost halfway done. Thanks, folks. Let's see here. Section 6, designation of foreign adversaries. 1. In general, designation. The Secretary may, in consultation with the Director of National Intelligence, designate any foreign government or regime as a foreign adversary. If the Secretary finds that the foreign government or regime is engaged in a long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to the national security of the United States or Secretary and safety of the United States persons. Removal of designation. The Secretary may, in consultation with the Director of the National Intelligence, remove the designation of any foreign government or regime as a foreign adversary, including any foreign government or regime identified in Section 2.8, if the Secretary finds that the foreign government or regime is no longer engaged in a long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to the national or economic security of the United States or Secretary and safety of the United States persons in a manner that would warrant designation as a foreign adversary. Notice: not later than 15 days before the date on which the Secretary makes or removes a designation under subsection A, the Secretary shall, by classified communication, notify the President pro tempore, Majority Leader and Minority Leaders of the Senate, the Speaker and Minority Leader of the House, and relevant committees of the Congress in writing of the intent to designate a foreign government or regime. See, regime is where they get you, because this means all of us, like we could be a regime, made under subsection A with respect to the foreign government or regime of the factual basis, therefore. Section 7, resolution of disapproval of designation or removal of designation of foreign adversary. In this section, the term covered joint resolution means a joint resolution of disapproval of a designation or a joint resolution of disapproval of removal of designation. So this is where they get into like the descriptive fighty terms. The term joint resolution of disapproval of designation means a joint resolution of the matter after the resolving clause of which is as follows. The Congress disapproves the designation of the Secretary of Commerce of blank as a foreign adversary for the purposes of securing the information and communication technology and service supply chain of Chain Act of 2023, and such designation shall have no force or effect until the Secretary of Commerce provides specific evidence to the relevant committees of Congress regarding the removal of designation under Section 6A of that Act, the blank space being appropriately filled in with the name of the foreign person of which the Secretary has designated as a foreign adversary for the purpose of this Act. The term joint resolution of disapproval of removal of designation means a joint resolution, the matter after resolving clause of which is as follows. The Congress disapproves of the removal of designation of the Secretary of Commerce of blank as a foreign adversary for the purpose of securing the Information Communication and Technology Services Supply Chain Act of 2023. And such removal shall have no force or effect until the Secretary of Commerce provides the specific evidence to the relevant committee of Congress regarding the removal of the designation. of blah, blah, blah. Okay. Expedited consideration of legislation. Initiation. In the event that the Secretary designates a foreign government or regime as a foreign adversary or removes such designation as a foreign adversary, a joint resolution of disapproval of designation or joint resolution of disapproval of removal of designation is as applicable that is introduced during the 60 calendar day period thereafter and shall be entitled to expedited consideration pursuant to this subsection. During the 60 calendar day period provided in paragraph 1, the covered and joint resolution may be introduced in the Senate by the majority leader or the designee of the majority leader or as the minority leader. In the House of Representatives by the Speaker or the minority leader. All right, this is some procedural stuff. Blah, 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 blah.
So basically, oh man, this is like you said earlier, this is the Patriot Act 2.0.
Oh, it is. Yeah. So, yep. And we've got all the implementing authorities. The best part is we'll just jump ahead to the, let's see here. Because this is good. I should, is that it? Oh, where is it? It's like the fear. Oh, okay. Oh, this one is great. Inapplicability of FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information Act. Any information submitted to the federal government by a party to a covered transaction in accordance with this act, as well as any information the federal government may create relating to review of the covered transactions, is exempt from disclosure under Section 552 of Title V. The United States Code, commonly referred to as the Freedom of Information Act. So all this stuff, I should have highlighted some things. Sorry that we were a little like bogged down looking. I get a little overambitious here. But there's a part where sorry for seasick folks. Oh, this may be additional. Oh, okay, let's go. Specific unlawful acts. The unlawful acts described in this paragraph are the following. No person may engage in, conduct prohibited by, or contrary to, or refrain from engaging in any conduct required by any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or authorization or directive under this act. No person may cause or aid, abet, counsel, compound, induce, procure, permit, or approve the doing of any act prohibited by, or the omission of an act prohibited by, on regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorization or directive under this act. No person may solicit or attempt violation of any regulation, order. No person may conspire or act in concert with one or more other persons in any manner or for any purpose to bring about or to do any act that constitutes a violation of any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorization or directive issued under. No person may, whether directly or indirectly through any other person, make any false or misleading representation, statement, classification. This is
Really
just
quickly,
terrible. Like, yeah.
Who's going to be the judge of this? Marjorie Green Taylor and
Yeah.
I always get her name wrong. I'm sorry. And you know what's so
MTG.
sad? Do you know what's so sad? I wear a Mitt Romney t-shirt. I'm gonna have to burn it. They were so nice to me in 2012. I went up to their booth. They gave me a t-shirt. They gave me a bunch of pamphlets. I still have the t-shirt and wear it all the time. Yikes.
Cute.
Yikes.
Yeah, and the penalties are like this. Oh, and this is why people like they have all these bills and they get passed because this is a short one and it like the languaging of it is just like a nightmare.
Your microphone has like
penalty.
Your microphone has a slight crackle, like a very, very slight.
Okay. Let me jiggle my cords around. Okay. Any better?
Oh, you sound great. I'm just sad that my buddy Mitt, who marched with the BLM people, which he did it more for like solidarity and less for like virtue signaling, is the same guy who is the author of like the knife's already in, so he's just pushing the knife in more, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, here's the part. Let's see here. Civil penalties. The Secretary may impose the following civil penalties on a person for each violation by that person of this act or any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or authorization issued under this act. A fine of not more than $250,000 or an amount that is twice the value of the transaction that is the basis of the violation with respect to which penalty is imposed, whichever is greater. Revocation of mitigation measure or authorization issued under this act in person. Criminal penalties. In general, a person who willfully commits, willfully attempts to commit, or willfully conspires to commit, or aids or abets in the commission of an unlawful act described in subsection A, shall, upon conviction, be fined not more than $1 million, or if a natural person, may be imprisoned for not more than 20 years, or both. And then there's the civil forfeiture where they take all your shit. This bill is a disgusting piece of trash, and we need to really this is the call to action of contact your people. I'm not even in my camera because I'm so pissed off. There we go.
so what as a tax paying crybaby, what can I do about it?
You can find your local representatives at the national level and email their offices, call their offices, counts for like more constituents. I'm sure there has to be a form letter out there somewhere, or one of the lawyers needs to draft one of like that you can just sign your name. I'm surprised there's not a change.org thing set up yet, but
Kilroy's comments are not coming up on YouTube for some reason.
oh no, are we being suppressed and censored? Just saying, I've done so many FOIA requests, so much. I'm a FOIA expert. Every single goddamn agency has something similar to that line. Ugh.
Yikes. That is weird. If we are being censored, like just how like the loss prevention guy will walk past me at the fabric counter, like we're not here to do anything nefarious. we just want to talk to somebody.
Right.
Yikes. So
yeah,
no, we're screwed, and there's basically nothing that we can do, or what? Or
we need to stop this from passing. This is just proposed. It's not been voted and finalized yet, but moderation activities. Okay. Got it. Why is YouTube moderating for me? I don't need your help, YouTube. Oh, how did I lose? What's happening here? Did I mute you by muting this? What's happening here? Okay, where am I? I've got too many screens. All right, let me see if are you muted now, or is it just me and I can't hear?
oh no, I'm muted because my garage door sounds like a TARDIS.
Okay, fair. Just I thought I was losing my marbles for a second here because I clicked over to the YouTube stream so I could check what was going on in the comments section.
I wonder why it's not showing Kilroy on the tubes.
Right.
YouTube is really funny that way.
It's very funny. Yeah.
But I always say this because I try not to be a conspiracy driven person, but it has changed in only the past like month and a half. YouTube has completely changed. And I live on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am one of those people who walks around like this. Or I have it on my TV or something.
On my TV, I know, right?
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go.
Kilroy is an old school Italian businessman I grew up around. If you spend some money, I don't care. And if you are just some kid not harming too much, I don't care either. Fair. Yeah, this is. I'm scared. Yeah, we need to complain and put up a big stink and not let this get passed through because I
So
think we are all just.
basically,
Go ahead.
oh sorry. Like I watch a Canadian show called My Gay Victorian Affair. It's about BDSM. I watch Friday Night Dinner, which is a show that's on Channel 4 in the UK. Well, it was on like 7 or 8 years ago. But like, so I could go to jail for watching that.
It's yeah, it's so amorphous and just yeah, I know. Somehow I should have highlighted the part about like having a VPN puts us into that.
So
You
like
can
I'm
get in
gonna go to jail
trouble.
for watching RuPaul's Drag Race Philippines because they don't show it in America.
Right. And just the extent of data gathering they can do without warrants and that you can't nothing is transparent. It's terrifying. Like they're calling it the TikTok ban, but that's just to get people who hate TikTok to be like, "Oh yeah, this is great." And they don't take the time to see how horrible it is.
So where I live, there's a lot of really ill-informed parents who are jumping on that. So the only reason I even knew, like when like I clicked on what you had what you put on Twitter because I was like, I have no idea what this is, and the only reason I even know is because the yuppies I know were talking about the TikTok bill, and they're like, oh, the standard rah American get out of my country crap,
Yep,
not knowing what's underneath it.
exactly. That's how they're selling. Right, exactly.
I say this all the time. Propaganda works. Propaganda works.
Yeah, it does. And this is a flaming hot dumpster fire that we're not even going to realize how if what we've lost if this gets passed. This is just
Well,
disgusting.
even before the Patriot Act, we've been slowly losing certain rights. And people, it just, as life goes on, if it doesn't affect you, it just becomes a way of life. You know what I'm saying?
It does. Oh yay, Kilroy! I'm about ready to rumble. I looked at it a few days ago, and it reminds me of YouTube 10 years ago. It's actual adult shit and not just kid-friendly bullshit. Exactly. And they just started this new feature that so if you are on YouTube, you've got all these hoops to get monetized, and if you get to whatever level you can get the YouTube memberships, and they take 30%, and the creator gets 70%. Rumble has their Rumble memberships $5 a month till the end of the year, and the creator takes home everything, which is super great. And there's no monetization requirements. You just set up your account and you're like, hey, I monetized. Have I gotten any money? No, but this slow but mighty wins the race.
I'm thinking about it because Restrict Act is a Patriot Act on cocaine.
Yep, and steroids and trenbolone sandwiches and the whole kit and caboodle with some like SARMs and SERMs mixed in for good measure. It makes my skin crawl.
YouTube makes me self-censor so much to the point where when I do show certain sides of my personality, people unsubscribe, not realizing that's really who I am.
Yeah, that we can't have an important conversation like that. We call things pew pews or
Yeah.
or child prawn or the kids at the adults who creep around playgrounds. Like these are very serious, important topics that it belittles them to have to use such stupid euphemisms.
Or the creepers online. Like there was a group I used to hang out with, and you know what? a lot of them I would consider groomers and the people that people talk about, you know? They exist. It's not like they don't exist, but we use these encompassing words so people get their feelings hurt. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about your cousin. I'm talking about this one specific person that I think was a weirdo groomer.
Right. I know. Speaking of other weirdo things, the person who was involved with the incident on Monday, the media is like, oh, they were heartbroken because their friend died. Like, why are you protecting somebody who unalived 3 adults and 3 kids? I don't care if they're a special class that you're like, oh, this group of people can't do anything wrong because it's just not possible. Give me a fucking break.
Look, I know I may hurt people's feelings when I say this, but like as somebody who owns and operates and lives in the Black community, when someone acts dumb, it's that person and they need to take personal responsibility for their actions. And no matter what label they call themselves, this person did an egregious act, which happened to be on a certain day of vengeance.
Oh, no, that's April 1st, where they're all getting together and there's all the pics of everybody in their trans flag gun shirts showing off their other
I
art,
hope not.
other
I hope
tools.
not. I live in LA County. I hope not.
It's
Thank you, Kilroy. If you shoot somebody, you deserve.
Yes, if you unalive 6 people, you deserve the damn consequences. Right, because there's bad people in all groups of people, and just because you're like, I guess we probably would be like, oh, the kid with Down syndrome who went and like did the same thing.
Okay, but that's different because that's okay, that's different. That's old school. That's a real protected class. That's actually somebody who we like. Where I live, we make decisions for people like that. They live around. They have counselors. They have the regional center. They have a whole infrastructure in place. They couldn't just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy a laptop," or "Oh, I'm gonna go buy an RV," or you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real protected class. Like autism, anybody with a physical or mental disability, like 1976 People with Disabilities Act. That's a real protected class. I think in today's world, we have invented these categories to shove in there.
Oh yeah, yes, because we can say the same thing with the positive people. Like, the world doesn't need to cater to you because you can't put your fork down and get up.
It really burns me because I work with people with disabilities, and it just, those are the people we're here to protect. Everybody else, it's survival of the fittest, like.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, not kidding, but like we have protected classes for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in today's world. Like, because I should be under like 4 or 5 protected classes, and I don't feel like I'm under any of them, and I don't care to be a part of it.
Like, right, if we're using like the self-given labels, I'm like, sure, I could do all sorts of things, but I don't want you to think I'm a great human because of those reasons. I want you to think I'm a great human because I try to be a good human.
That's why I always say, like, judge me on my actions, not on what you think I am,
Yeah. The ADA has protected my ass so much, and there are so many people who want to try to claim the ADA when it wasn't for them. Right. Yeah, because there's things like oh my God, this cute little Instagram girl who had, what is it? Oh, a placental banding. So the placental sac had a something, and it was like doxing a dog's tail, but it happened to be like her leg from the knee down, and was born with only part of a leg. What didn't it? Oh, everything's freezing. Wow, the weather hates me now. Maybe I need to close some windows.
It's the same here. like our infrastructure cannot handle constant rain and constant. Hey, Liz, it cannot handle what's going on right now.
I know, and it's raining again. Hey, Liz, I know the 5 was closed for like 9 hours yesterday from the south of the border to Reading. Hope you didn't order anything from Amazon.
It trips me out when you say that because I live on the 5, probably like 950 something miles from where you live. You know what I'm saying? Like it trips me out because I live like literally. If I open my garage, you could hear the 5 freeway.
Yep. Yeah, I saw tractor trailers were stacked up in places in the median that I don't think I've ever seen. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is bad news.
Oh, wow.
And it's supposed to snow again next week.
So twice today. My Hispanic brothers made me laugh today twice. First at my job, Isaiah was really sad. So like I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, all right, let's go to the ranch because at the ranch there's tons of space. We can break stuff. We can ride horses.
Right.
We can like chase chickens.
Yep.
We could, we can go skating in a giant
Reform
gym.
tarantulas.
We can help his dear old dad make crappy videos for YouTube.
Press play, kid. Hit the red button.
You know what's so sad is that like I was thinking about this today when my dad took me to that exact same place like 30 years ago when I was heartbroken and sad and crying, over some girl, or like I was super emo. Like I'm not kidding you. Like I still to this day I can't listen to Karma Police without crying. So so I was like, let's go to the ranch, let's tool around. I finished my coat, so I'm like, all right, let's do some filming. Didn't work. I had a great time.
Yup.
Our infrastructure is rough and ready.
Yup. Oh, I missed one. Let's see here. No, I gotta hide this one. We'll get back to Liz. Our infrastructure is rough and ready. We literally have bridges that go underwater and are still usable. The roads get screwed up by salt, but that's managed fair. I know on the East Coast, all the electrics and cable lines are buried, so that helps them. Liz hates self-censoring. Yeah, me too. Poor little buddy. Aw, yeah, the littlest sewing.
I'm trying to be sensitive because I'm dead inside. I'm trying to be like that compassionate dad where like I'm like, I get it, but I'm also trying to give him his space.
Right, because everybody reacts in their own way and needs their own time and own. You learn from doing it a couple times, but the first time you don't know what to do.
And like for as much as I love my father, he did a lot of things that would get you put in jail by today's standards. Like he would be like, oh, here, drink whiskey. And be like, oh, bro, I'm 14. He'd be like, oh, I'm your parent. Like you would go to, no, I'm not okay with that. Because all it did was just give me a whiskey habit.
You're like, oh, I don't need to feel my feelings. There's this magical thing that helps me numb them, so I don't need to pay attention that they exist anymore.
I tell my mom all the time that like by today's standards, she'd be in prison. I'm like, y'all are lucky. Like they have rules now. Oh. So I'm serious. Like, could I go to jail for watching? I watch Rules Drag Race Australia. They have Drag Race in Sweden. I don't know what they're saying, but it's an awesome show, and I watch it. I have no idea what they're saying.
This must be about your dad, dead but sensitive, a tough combo. Yeah, like I missed the part. I should have highlighted it about like having a VPN, all of these things, because they're using these countries as like the guises. But if all of these things are manufactured there, and the company has an office there, like it seems like they're like everybody's at risk, and anything is subject to their we don't like people who sew anymore, or oh, the people who buy singers are like they're dangerous because they know how to do things. We didn't have any feelings back
Oh,
in the
now I
day.
have that song stuck in my head. Taking care.
No, we take care of business. Honey, take care of business every way.
Do you know what's so
Yeah,
funny?
thanks for making me laugh. Go ahead. I need funny.
The Southern California infrastructure is old because it's
Yeah.
1940s, 50s, and 60s. And then it's everything just built on top. And we have junction boxes that are outside in the middle of the desert, or like a junction box on a hill somewhere. And we wonder why we set the entire hill on fire because it's 57 years old. And you know what I'm saying? 60,
Right,
you
and
know,
it's not meant to carry the power load from all the people, like the amount of electrical draw and the number of people drawing on the currents.
and the
It
census is a lie. The census is a lie.
right.
We have so many people here just in LA County. Like, if I ask the A word, it's going to tell me 10 million. I think it's closer
Yep.
to like 17.
Yeah.
Like, for as
Oh,
much as I talk about this all the time. I lived in a place called Sandy, Oregon, which is 10 miles from the base camp of Mount Hood. Okay. I loved it, but the silence kind of drove me mentally insane.
right. There's no cars and pew pew shots every damn day, Liz. Actually, we work here on the east. Oh, killer! I know you East Coasters. I was for the first 25 years of my existence. I know that meant that's me. I still, you might catch my um Midwest, not Midwest, nasally A. Eh,
A long
can't
time
help
ago,
it.
I was at this really awkward party, and this guy who he had a lot of issues, but he was a biker, and we were all kind of joking and talking, and we were talking, and the East Coast West Coast thing came up, and he was like the guy in charge. He stood up and he was like, "The East Coast is the goddamn backbone of this country," and everybody in the room stopped talking. Everybody in the room shut up. We were like, oh man, we upset the old guy. Like, and like, so now, like, to my friends, that's like, we say that to each other all the time because he shut us all up. He shut us all up real quick. But the
Oh,
population, but isn't there more people like that live on the East Coast than the West Coast?
there is, yeah, it is quite dense compared to like Oregon, Montana, Utah, Idaho,
Because like
Iowa.
I can get in my car and drive out to the middle of nowhere, like Mojave. Were you gonna move your ass to Tennessee or Pennsylvania or some reasonable state? Quite honestly, very soon. Quite honestly, I'm just trying to convince the other people that have to come with me. I might have to bribe my ex-wife's husband. Like he's down. He's my friend. I'm so lame. I am so lame. I'm friends with my ex. Like we call each other. I call him all the time, or he'll call me, and he's like, "Oh, did you see the game?" My ex-wife, she doesn't want to live anywhere that it's cold.
Oh yeah, so there's no you got no place to go.
Yeah, but like both of us, we're like, hey, I got coats. We got all kinds of coats. Like, you know,
It's
when
not
I'm
just that; it snow sucks, and the way salt ruins your cars sucks.
that is true. I would have to find a place to house like my truck inside. And that's another thing. Like my truck, like it has a little bit of rust on it, but I haven't had it painted in like since before my son was born. And the other one, I'm getting rid of that rust bucket, you know. I would
Yeah,
have to get a Subaru. I'd have to get a
yeah, you
because
yes.
I'd have to get rid of my Ford Flex. Honestly, I'm trying to get out of California, but it's just a lot of red tape. I'll tell you, I no longer reflect the values of my hometown. And you could take that for what it is. I no longer reflect the place from where I'm from, and I think it's time to leave. and go find some more like-minded people.
Yeah.
And that's more from the child raising standpoint because our schools, excuse me, I live in the suburbs and in the wannabe Mayberry where like the rich kids go to school and our schools have completely fallen apart. Those kids are beating up their teachers. No way my kid can go to like it's just sad what's happened to my hometown. My hometown was like a safe haven.
Let's see here, Liz. I just looked down to pin here. Yeah, I have a few people that have to approve it. I agree with your ex-wife. I hate being cold. Yes, me too. Oh, Kilroy, that's the nice thing about rural life. You can just build a garage and people don't give a shit. Fair. And Liz agrees with you.
That's another reason why like I want to move away from where I move. I had a really bad example of my father because we own everything. Like, so because I own the property, I'll build something without a permit. Like the entire side of my house is probably illegal and I don't care. It's structurally sound. I built it. I didn't pull one permit. You know, like I put a dumpster in front of my house and they were like, oh, you need a permit. And I'm like, what law says that? And the guy was like subsection blah blah blah. I was like, what year was that? You know, like so I'm tired of just the BS taxes of the city of living, and I live on the suburbs, but technically it's illegal for me to work on my truck in front of my house.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And no one ever enforced it except for one time a cop tried to enforce it on another cop and they made the papers. I'm old. They made the internet. Sorry, I'm old. They made it. I say the newspapers, but it went viral. Well, imagine you walk out of your house and you see
like, hey,
you see a man fighting a cop, like two, like fist fighting, and one not in uniform. You know.
Right.
People called
That
the cops on the
funny.
cops. It sounds like you're landing one of those like in Star Wars, like you're landing one of those drone planes.
Oh no. I don't want to be a drone plane. Everything's glitchy and laggy.
It has a weird hiss. Oh, there it is. Oh, kind of. Oh, the hiss is back.
You know what's hissing is my computer.
Technology
it's picking up my computer fan, I think.
Technology is so fickle.
It is. What I do to live stream to show up on a random night to complain and vent my sadness and sorrow. But
I'm spoiled because sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Kilroy, and here I am doing all kinds of car work all of the time on my property. You go, because I don't know how to fix a car to save my life.
You know what's so sad? I like go to the ranch to do it because I could set a bomb off and no one would react up there, you know.
Right.
And I don't even think about it, but that's what I miss. Like when I lived in Oregon, when I lived in Sandy, I had a friend that had a property. When I say a property, he owned like the size of something that's like half of my county. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Half a mountain.
Yeah. But when they would work on, I'll never forget, I know how to work on cars. He bought this crappy Ram and he's like, all right, we're going to use this for the demolition derby. On his property, he's just ripping parts off, throwing them on the ground, just like, and they left them there. Like, you can't just do that here. You can't just like,
Definitely not.
Nothing spends the night outside.
Right.
Your mic is kind of choppy.
All right. Well, maybe we don't need to torture people with my crappy audio if I can't fix things tonight.
There it is. The hiss is gone.
Okay.
But
California,
like that's the one thing that I don't think people realize. Like they always say, oh, California is the the experiment. Every state is the experiment,
Right,
and
because they're all different experiments.
we're getting our rights taken away right now, and it's sad.
We are, yeah. Please contact your whoever federal representatives. We cannot let this go through because this is a shitstorm of a disaster of a dumpster fire that was worse than 2020.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I can't remember the quote, but it's a World War II quote. It's like, first they came for the gypsies, then they came for
Oh,
the
it's a
Polish, and then they came
yep.
for the Catholics. And
And then they came for it, and I didn't do anything because they didn't come for me. And then they came for the communists, and I didn't do anything because it didn't affect me. And then they
yep.
came for me was the end of it. Like, yeah, this is really bad. I did my civic duty and complained about a state bill on Monday, and I'm going to really stink about this. So I appreciate everybody who listened to me read some of that with all of his stupid jargon. Oh, Kilroy, I've been going to my local auto parts store for so many years. They give me a discount. Oh, sweet, 50%. You've got like the wholesalers discount at the
I think they treat me well, but I think they just feel sorry for me because they think I only drive a truck from 1988. So they think I'm just like some charity case, but really I'm just trying to keep my truck alive. Like I refuse to let it die. I think that's what it is too. Today, I almost got pulled over, and it wasn't because of my color. It's because I had the audacity of driving a crummy vehicle in a really nice neighborhood.
Oh God! So they thought you were some weird tweaker.
No, the only reason the cop didn't pull me over is because I'm a person of color, and he didn't want to get in trouble.
Oh gosh!
He saw me. I saw him. He turned around and everything. He ran my plates, and it ticks the cops off even more when you're like all paid for. And then he like pulled up next to me and he looked at me, and his eyes, because he's wearing a mask and he had clear like goggles on.
Okay.
He's a motorcycle cop.
Safe. He's very safe.
But like he saw me, and I'm not kidding. He was like, "Oh, person of color," and he like drove off.
Sorry for wasting your time, sir.
It's different here in California because like Caucasian people are a minority, so it's just different.
Oh, Liz, we gotta fight. We're on right to party. Oh, the beasties. You're welcome, Liz.
But I refuse to pay $50,000 for a new truck that's going to break down when my old 1988, like I replace one part and it's a brand new car.
Right, or that you have to plug it in, go to like the Napa Auto Parts so that they can plug it in so you could figure out what's wrong to know what to do for yourself.
That's one thing. My truck is so old. I have a diagnostic machine that I can actually read at my house.
Yep.
Because the new stuff, like even with the computer, I have no idea. I was nosy when I took the Flex in and they lifted the hood. It's all computers. Like I was honestly like where's the motor? Like how does this thing go? It's just one giant brain, you know.
Yeah, that's why I'm being stalwart, and I don't want to upgrade my vehicle because it's got another 100,000 miles on it, and if I take good care of it, and
even my crappy tractor, like I know how to drive that thing. It's a 1979 Ford tractor. The Kubota is more modern, and it's so modern that you could sit in it and have to pick a language for it to talk to you.
Yeah, no thanks. My car doesn't need to talk to me. Still.
I will say though, when I'm having a bad day, Japanese sounds so happy. I don't even know what they're. I actually kind of know what it's saying, because it only
Like,
has so many like directives on the tractor, but Japanese is like it's so like phonetically happy, even though it's just a tractor. But it sounds like whoever recorded it was just excited.
Look, you are so smart. OBD is super easy. You just take a reader, you go to Walmart, read the codes, and then search the codes on Google. Good to know.
I have like all the old diagnostic stuff, and plus like uh, it's so funny every time at my shop. Like when I say my boss, I'm talking about my mother. She's like, "What do you have this piece of equipment here? If you can't justify it, like, um, my pops was kind of the same way, but like basically, if it's aged out, they don't want it there at the shop.
Yeah, because it's a
Like
risk and liability after a while.
fire hazard, all kind. And I'm like, okay. But my new boss, aka my mother, because my old boss was my boss, she's like, you can't put it in your storage unit. You can't take it to your house. You can't.
He knows
I'm like,
you.
you don't have to search me.
I don't have a chainsaw underneath my new fancy jacket.
Well, like there are certain things that are timeless. Like I have a welding machine from 1950. It works better than my one that has a line feeder.
Okay.
You know,
Actually,
so
no, the old stuff does work. It was just made and designed to last, not like modern crap.
I actually had that argument today with my boss because I still have it in the shop, and she was like, "Plug it in and don't set a fire." And I was like, "No." She was like, "Okay, then if you can't plug it in without setting a fire, it can't be here."
Oh, she's a tough mistress.
Well, you know, there's the problem. Like when you have a shop like that, it has to be run efficiently. I work
Yeah.
with people with special needs, so we're under a whole different license, and like we
Yeah.
can't just have stuff hanging around that someone could plug in and burn the building down.
Right.
You know, like I have to
Yeah,
have a
that's held
lockbox
to
for
a higher
all.
standard.
Let me see, where are my keys? Really, it'll take me 2 seconds. I'm gonna grab my keys real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna. Oh, do I want to resell this? Am I in a happy enough place to sell? I don't think so. I try to only sell when I'm happy, and this whole today, this week has already been a shit show, and I just don't want to sell. Oh
This
my god,
is That's
that's a
the big one. This is the
weapon!
big one. I carry this on or in my toolbox. That's one.
Right, because at
I
least it's a
wear
toolbox.
that's my car keys. Oh no, actually no, I wear this one. I wear this one all the
The little
time. And then these are my car's keys. I'm a jiggly mess. I am a
You
jiggly
can't
mess.
sneak up on anybody. You are not a mouse.
But this people laugh, but like I have to have locks for everything at my job. um every single house has like a med fridge that has to have a lock on it, like, and it has to have backups, like and I'm the backup.
Right.
Like I am physically the backup to everything, every vehicle. There's
Yeah.
a lockbox at my job with like we have, gosh, over 40 something vehicles. Do you know, when I get pulled over and the cop is like, "Why are there 27 vehicles registered?" I love that's why, like, I don't look like it, but I am actual a responsible adult, even though I may not look, act, or smell like one. I am actually a responsible adult. And my smell is just vanilla marijuana and daddy issues. That's like my main smell.
They have the new tamper-proof outlets apply. I just put a couple of tamper-proof outlets in, and I could not defeat those with anything. Hmm.
Yes,
I
we
don't know.
actually use that because we have to have everything up to modern code. Short of the shop, everything has to be extremely modern. I get really we like I don't talk about it enough, but we get rando inspections. And I smoke my weed pipe at work and never got caught. But we get the most rando inspections.
You smell them coming, you're like, oh, I know that scent.
Well, the shop's on a hill, and because my father smoked a pipe, people think I'm smoking tobacco.
Ah,
So I just go to
that
the top
helps.
of the hill. I like
Right?
and
And then
like
you can see the who's coming, and you're like, oh, I gotta get things cleaned up. Spritz, spritz, spritz. Okay, hello.
and there's this weird old service road where a diesel tank used to be, but in '07 we had a massive fire that ripped through, and I discovered what happens when fire hits diesel. Fun fact, diesel does not go up at first. It has to go to a slow boil and then it explodes. Um I thought I thought it was gonna explode, and I'm sitting there with my predecessor in the fire department, and I'm like, "What do we do?" I'm looking at them. I'm like, "Why aren't you guys moving?" They're like, "Just
Just
wait,
wait. Okay.
just wait." The tank shot up. I don't know, 100 feet in the air, 150 feet in the air, exploded, landed, and now that in retrospect, like we all could have got hit by the tank. you know And so I think I learned a lesson that day. But it's those failures that taught me to be the boss that I am today. Like when people are like, "Oh, you're cocky about certain things," like, no, I just watched that explode. I know what you're doing won't make it explode.
Previous right, experience is quite a um, lesson teacher.
That's the thing, and that's even like with my sewing, I had to slow down because I was like, I have this unreal work ethic, and I was like, how many people make like like one piece of clothing like every 2 or 3 days? That's not getting paid.
I not you.
Hey, butterfly.
Hey,
Hey,
Kat.
how's it going?
Oh, let's see here, Kilroy. Yeah, I have this thing called work ethic, and it makes me do things up to modern codes and to the highest standards. Yeah, I wish. Well, I've got some. I wish I could make that happen in my surroundings, but it would take the entire place being gutted to the studs and then built from scratch again. Especially if I
Here,
knew
like
that.
that is one good thing about where I live. Like you can't, they won't let you do anything half hours at all
Yeah,
because of all the contractors from out of state that came in here and ruined it for people like me who actually are like really licensed.
yeah, yeah. Here's everything's funny. There's everything's just a mess in town right now. But I don't know. Everything just feels yucky right now.
It really does though. And I think I was thinking about this the other day. Like one of the reasons I stopped streaming with all the negative peeps is because the world's bad enough. You don't need all that in your life.
Yeah, I know. I try to make streams happy places, and I'm sorry today is such a Debbie Downer, and I'm like,
No, like
but it
like
happens.
I feel like we're all kind of like in the life of Brian right now. Like we're all on the cross. All right, we're sitting here. Let's start singing.
All with look on bright side.
Like even today when young Mr. Sewing was all sad, and I was trying to tell him like, life stinks right now, but you won't feel like this a year from now. I promise you.
Right.
Like you know, we all and I finally got to play him the Love Stinks song from the Wedding Singer,
Oh, love.
which actually has helped me out in my life many times.
Right.
Love stinks. You sing that when you're having a bad day. I guarantee you, you will no longer be having a bad day.
Yeah.
I can't wait for So Frugal. I keep on forgetting to take pictures. Like I'm gonna have to take advantage of the fact that Isaiah's sad and not hanging out on his computer.
Right. You're like, take my picture. Press the button, kid. I know. I got some pictures of my pants yesterday. If I can like finish plowing through this new corset, I'll have that too. Not that I like these prizes. I just want my corset collection to grow because modern undergarments really suck.
Do you think they're hard to make because they're intricate?
Actually, they're super easy because it's just a lot of straight lines. It's just being fiddly and careful. The worst part really is tracing. You have to be very precise tracing the pattern, cutting the fabric,
Oh,
because a few millimeters makes a huge difference in the size as it adds up. Butterfly, how have you
butterfly.
never a wedding singer? This is your homework for this week before your test.
Do you know? I'll tell you. There are. People might have objections to certain people. A long time ago, I worked at Magic Mountain, and Rob Schneider walked in with what I considered like a 16 or 17-year-old girl.
Uh-huh.
If she wasn't, she looked like she was. Like I was like 18. No, I was like 17. And I worked as the people that take your picture as you walk into the to the to any amusement park. When you walk in, there's those shrubs who are like, "Hey, I'll give you a deal." And Rob Schneider was with what I considered a minor. So I have any movie after that I have not seen because I consider him a weirdo. But that's a personal thing. The Wedding Singer is awesome. And like I'm not gonna give it away, but at the end of the movie, Billy Idol looks so good that you think it's a Billy Idol impersonator. He looks good. Like he looks so good even back then. Like I recently saw a picture of Rod Stewart, and Rod Stewart looked. If I worked at Disney, I'd shoot.
Fair.
That job was awful, Kilroy. Like I said, lots of people are creeps. I have what I call the damning eye. I am weirdly observant. And so I would sit there and be like, they do not pass the test, at all.
The smell test.
So working at an amusement park was strange. And because I have one of those faces that people just are, I don't, do you know, I that'll be like a stream one day of, I'm going to call it Everybody Hates Sewing. I just have one of those faces. So eventually some dude tried to fight me, and then I didn't work there anymore. But I have never fared well working in like extremely public jobs because my first jobs were always real country,
Right.
like baling hay or like tending to alfalfa. Alfalfa and hay is boring, but it makes a lot of money.
Yeah. I know, because it's not
So
like it goes anywhere. You just like keep the predators out.
yeah, exactly. So when I went out in the real workforce, like being in, work.
That's real work. You mean like corporate workforce as opposed to country workforce?
True, true, true. That is the thing. Like I haven't fared well in the corporate world
Yeah.
ever. Like I worked for Carl's Jr. for a while, and like they had incentives and they sent me all around the country. They literally gave me my own store in Portland, Oregon, and they would send me around. Like I was the Brown Gordon Ramsay. I would go and like, this store is crap, and like I was 25. Like they really hooked me up, but then I got sued, and they disavowed me. They didn't fire me, but they were like, if you like. So basically, if you sue Carl Jr., you're suing the manager of the store that works there. You're not suing the store.
Uh-huh.
You're suing that person. And so I was like, oh no, these people literally are refusing to take responsibility for their own action, for the actions of their store. Like they gonna get me put in jail. And every
Right.
slip and fall person, I was in court at least 3 times when I lived in Portland. And those slip and fall weirdos are real.
They are. Oh, killer! I survived 4 days in retail, and after that, I had to quit, or I would have actually unalived myself. I prefer jobs where I can work with my hands and people leave me alone. There, which is why it's funny that I do the job I do, but being self-employed helps because I would not be able to do my job in
I was
any other
told
fashion.
I was told a long time ago that I should never join the military or any job that takes getting screamed at all the time. even now, like I've create like well, no, it's different because I work at one place, but before I got the job that I had now, like on the side of my house right now in a shed, I have a power washer, three different paint guns where you actually put the entire gallon bucket of paint in, and it's a paint sprayer. You know,
Oh,
like
yep,
professional.
yep.
I'll spray your house. Pay me. I'll show up. You know, full professional truck and everything. You know.
Hmm.
But ever since I got my new job, I miss being in the field. Telling the honest truth, like I miss being in the field. Paperwork and like sitting in front of a computer and delegating is just it's not for me.
Yeah, it gets old real fast. And the amount of bullshit paperwork.
And like uh, it's weird because no one even asked me to justify my spending or anything. No one asked me anything, but it's just the paperwork aspect of it. Like the person before me never told me how much paperwork. They made it look easy because they were just hanging out all the time because they love to talk like I did. Like I do.
Right. So you didn't see all the crying that was going on behind the
No.
scenes.
No, not at all. So now, like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I like the practical part of my job, but yeah, paperwork really is a soul crusher.
I'm d- so I try to like, oh my gosh, I'll probably talk about it more next week, but oh, actually, I'll probably forget. But like, the people at my job, they love me.
Yeah.
So at the gym that I go to, it's ever since COVID, no one really goes in there anymore.
Well, that's sad. They should go and get their workout and play pickup.
Well,
Or sports.
we have like bocce ball is really popular in the Special Olympics world,
Yep.
and we have giant bocce ball courts.
Okay.
Like endless bocce ball courts. Like it's not just that
Outside.
being closed, but like there's a bunch of weird COVID procedures that they have now for any kind of in-care facility or anything where people live anywhere.
Yeah.
And like so it's basically it's been my that's been my domain since 2020, which
Yeah.
it was before also. But
Right.
like I walked in, I turned on the lights, and Newey that works there fixed all the lights for me, and he's like, "I love you,
Oh,
brother," and I'm like, "You're gonna make me cry."
it's sweet. This
So it
is
might be a
sweet
little
from him
brighter.
too. Negatives are for math, plus and minus problems, not people. BRB, coloring my hair blonde. OMG. I love the wedding finger. Oh, I'm gonna get a whole new Liz. That's the best. Love that tune. I've read too many paperbacks from the 80s to see any supervisor or corporate job as simple. You are so true, Kilroy. It's not. I avoid it like the plague. Oh man.
Oh Lord, my ex-wife is like, I've seen you called a few times. That is not me, ma'am.
Don't. The kiddo wants to talk. Mama, help me. I need cookies and a back rub.
Let me go check on him really quick.
All right. Okay.
He's super fatty.
Yeah, it happens. Oh, that first heartbreak is the worst. And this downfall of our country is an equal horrible thing. Yeah, it is really funny, Butterfly. It's a good one. I'd probably pre-screen it before you watch it with like little people because there's some stuff that you probably wouldn't get, but may or may not be appropriate in your households. I am a sucker for a good Adam Sandler movie, though. I kind of like most of them. Oh, and the
You know,
ridiculous.
I've met a lot of famous people, and he is who he is in the movie. He's like that in real life.
Awesome.
So I don't like oh, I don't remember his name, but the guy who played in Terminator 2, whoever was the T1000, and it makes me laugh because now he's in one of those biker shows, and he plays like the head of a Mexican biker gang, and it makes me laugh because he is the last person on earth that would be.
I, like,
He
do
was
you
so
think that
rude.
we
Oh,
should
sorry.
have like real Mexican people play Mexicans, or is this like the white guy who got the job, or
He's supposed to be like from the Sons of Anarchy gang and in connection with this other gang, but like it's just
okay,
not believable because ask anybody who's been in the military, like they get military advisors on set. They're like, okay, this makes it more real and stuff. And
yeah,
so they really dramatize what it is to be a biker.
hmm
And anybody that says anything else besides it's like riding a horse. I'm not
okay,
gonna give away too many secrets, but eventually your ass will just get sore. That's really what you're just, it's a bunch of writing, really, like and but they make it seem like it's all this gang activity and stuff that goes on. Really, it's just a lot of hanging out with your brothers, really, in the end, you
right,
know.
locker room
But
talk, drinking beers.
they just make it seem like biker, like motorcycle clubs in general go around beating people up, and like I don't know, it ruins it for people who really do ride because the younger generation joins these clubs thinking that that's how they act, and they really don't act like that.
Oh, right, so that everybody's being misled and disappointed. God, the classic Adams Family, the modern one sucks. I did kind of like Wednesday though. Maybe it was just all the knitted and crocheted outfits, sweaters she had. But
I'm subscribed to a channel on YouTube that has the Adams Family 24 hours a day
that's
because
been on my feed too. Yep. Or I can listen. There's another one that does the old CBS radio murder mysteries. That's kind of fun when you can't sleep.
oh what was it called? Oh, it was on all the time too on PBS when I was a kid. It had that crazy opening. Was it something mystery murder? I can't remember. I would obsessively watch PBS as a child because it had Doctor Who,
Yes.
Downtown Abbey,
Yep.
all kinds of fun stuff. It was good seeing you, Butterfly. I'm gonna be
Thanks for
posting a
hopping in.
video soon with all my new makes.
I know. I thought I was gonna pre-record, but then instead I was like, I'm gonna live stream instead because I'm too angry. But oh, all the tech hates me tonight. We should probably not keep people too long watching crappy my internet going in and out and being glitchy.
It's important to get the word out though. And your mic is
Yeah,
like fading in and out of working, but it's working well. It's working well.
yeah. So
Now I just have we're not gonna take it in my head. Now my
we're
internet's cutting out.
not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Yes.
Oh man, now I gotta wait for I think I have to go full Karen on Spectrum again. I have
I
a
pay for more megabits upbytes. I should probably like, oh, I need to update my. I got all some stuff is on my end and some stuff is I don't know. Ugh.
I have a question before we end this for the chat.
Hey,
So is Spectrum nationwide? Because I know it's in a place like Minnesota. I know it's like in Idaho. I know they have it. It's just one of those weird questions because they have tier Wi-Fi, which most companies do, but they openly admit, like, okay, you pay for this, you get this kind of signal. You pay for this, you get this kind of signal. I pay for top tier internet, and like I just saw my signal fade out on my telephone because I have this brand new iPhone that I still can't figure out. Do you
oh
know,
yeah,
Kilroy, you would love my collection of CB ham radios and scanners. I
I mean,
um I still have scanners and stuff in the box, and I still don't know what to do with them. And I have all the
You
local codes and
to the
everything.
radio, the police station, but that gets depressing after a while.
It's okay. So at first it was really entertaining, but then like um my neighborhood is not as safe as I thought it was.
Yep.
And
All the things that happen behind
it's
closed
not
doors.
drugs. Yeah, oh yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna tell the truth. It's domestics, and it's depressing because people love fighting each other in my neighborhood.
Yeah, that's why I had to stop. But I only got hooked into. Oh, actually, I don't use the. There's a scanner app that I'm plugged into because during the emergency that happened a couple of years ago, the signal to let us know what was going on didn't go off.
I keep this. This is programmed for the sheriff's department. It picks up all kinds of stuff. But like you said, like um, I love listening to. But the LAPD is even more depressing because they're like every 5 minutes, it's just going off and off. I could align those radios if you wanted to see those. Depressingly are depressingly easy. I have a CB that Isaiah harasses the truckers with because we're on the 5. We are
Right.
like, oh.
So it's not just sticking your arm out going, wah, wah. You're like, hey, this
Well,
is
we have a weird
Cosmo.
marker by our house, so he'll be like, oh, if you have a pair, honk by the certain building, and certain people do.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's literally right here behind all these vests. There's a whole desk back there, but like the day I decided to actually turn this into a sewing room, I had to compromise because I'm bringing everything in the same room at the same time.
Right. You're
And
throwing it like a hazard.
I have a almost 4 foot statue of Master Chief in there too, and I don't know what to do with it.
Oh, that's what I was going to say from noticing from your videos. Why doesn't your Mary have a bathtub around her? She's missing her bathtub. Or do you not have bathtub Marys where you live?
What do you mean?
So, where I grew up, it was mostly the old Polish grandmas, but sometimes the Italian grandmas too. They have their statues of Mary outside, and then like a broken half a bathtub that would like surround her as the top of her shrine. So we would call
Oh,
them bath.
it's ironic that you would say that. That all that black and everything underneath it is a tub, and there's a pump,
Oh,
and it runs water back. But I ever since the drought, I have 4 fountains in my backyard, and I have 2 on the side. I am obsessed with building fountains, and so Mary looks like she's floating at night.
oh, that's cute.
She
Yeah, no, these were like stood upright, so there was Mary, and then there was the bathtub like as her backdrop.
It's so weird. My church has a weird thing like that too. It's like this giant cove that's behind
Yes,
the statue of Mary. It's
yes,
so
and there
weird.
used to be old bathtubs.
As an atheist, I have a Saint Francis statue. I
Yeah,
have 9 different angels in my backyard. I just, you know what? I do it for the birds.
right. So they have a place to
Quite,
search.
and
That's
I
cute.
love it. Like I will half fill my fountain because I have a Nikon. Like I have pictures of orioles, of bluebirds, of just any kind of bird you could possibly think of because they all come this way when they're traveling south. You
Yep.
know, it's unreal. It is unreal. And the only other place that I had better bird watching was Arizona. But in Arizona, they go out of their way it's just that's the first place I was introduced with hostile architecture towards animals.
Mm.
People put spikes on their houses.
Oh yeah. Let's see here, Kilroy. Anyway, I'm going to leave you West Coasters to your own devices and go back to my classic rock and books. There. Have a good one. To all those reading or listening, thanks, Kilroy. Enjoy your music and books. Yeah, I know it's late. It's what, 10, 11 o'clock that time, getting ready to tuck in, and it probably won't be too much longer because it's a school night and I need to pumpkin in a little bit and it's been a shit show of a week and it's only Wednesday.
Oh, I know. Yeepers.
Yeah. All right, folks. Don't wait until tomorrow to be fabulous today, and don't laugh at others unless you laugh at yourself today. Do you have anything to show, my dear friend Godwin?
I will be having a video out for So Frugal 2023 that's out by Friday because that's the first. Even though technically the people who put it on, they're a day ahead of me. So I don't know if I have to post it on Thursday, but I'm gonna post it on Friday anyways. Or
That's
late night Thursday.
sounds good.
You know,
Awesome.
go godless sewing, godless sewing.
Have a good night, folkers. Bye.
Rock out with your clock out.